Hello there. Hope you are doing well. We are here once again to tackle one of the major news that started this month, exactly on May 1st, and that was none other than the rollout of the electric bus, transportation system, especially in the central business district, that's in Kampala. And here to pick up this news, I picked from the news piece I picked from Pulse Uganda or Pulse UG. The headline: KCCA set to roll out electric buses in Kampala this month after cabinet approval. The pointers that they picked from the article, or they emphasize, that KCCA says the introduction of electric buses is part of a broader effort to reduce air pollution and modernize public transport in Kampala. Two, KCCA will roll out electric buses in Kampala after receiving cabinet approval. Then they talked about 8 buses will be deployed by the end of May as part of the pilot phase, and then the project aims to reduce air pollution and improve city transportation. There are few things there that we shall be tackling in the future, episode that in future episodes on this podcast, the weapons of war. But for now, what I wanted us to talk about in regard to this news is what I first captured over the Daily Monitor, Twitter page. This is how the Daily Monitor reported about it. One of the 10 electric buses deployed by Kira Motors has begun operations today along the Kampala-Ntinda route, marking the rollout of the company's new public transport service. A conductor speaking on the condition of anonymity because he's not authorized to address the media, said the buses are part of a wider city-wide rollout aimed at easing public transport. The fare is 2,000 shillings, payable electronically with no cash accepted. That was my first big news, that it's only payments are to be made only electronically, no cash accepted. Why I did that catch my attention is because of matters we've discussed on this podcast broadly previously, and that is none other than the war on cash. That there is an ongoing global war on cash, that to phase out all cash so that we are all squeezed into the digital platforms. The end goal, I've always discussed it, and I'll repeat that here today for those that haven't been following us to catch up quick. But because Monica had mentioned that the conductor had spoken on condition of anonymity, I sought out to, I searched the internet a bit, the socials a bit, to find out if there was any credible voice that could verify that actually this transport system was going to be entirely cashless. And that's when I found this news piece, this clip with the spokesperson of this project of Kira Motors speaking out.
Hi everyone, my name is Eric Mboa and I'm coming to you from the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds where the National Science Week 2026 is happening. Now, if you're planning to come for this event, listen, we have electric buses that will be providing transport for you. I'm here with Ruth, the voice, who is going to be sharing more about this experience or development. Hi Ruth, nice to meet you.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you. And welcome to the Electric Experience.
Thank you very much. Tell us, the viewer, what should they expect?
All right, so Kampala, I have very good news for you. We are launching eBus Express in Kampala. So many Ugandans have been asking me, by the way, for a long time since I launched in Eastern Uganda. They've been asking, when does Kayola come to Kampala? We are launching eBus Express starting 1st May. Guys, it is a Labor Day present. So for every worker out there, we are launching eBus Express 1st May. So we are going to be plowing the Kampala, Ntinda, Bukoto, Kamocha, Wandegea route. So it's the Kampala CBD ring route. Wosangira bus. Yingira. The electric experience is in Kampala for you, and we are making sure that we keep this as modern as we can. First, it's an electric bus, and we are going to pay using cashless payment systems. Don't think that it's going to be so complex. You're going to pay using Momo Pay, Airtel Money. The merchant codes are here for you, and you're only going to pay 2,000 shillings. Wojikoera Wofluma at only 2,000 shillings. So we are bringing this to Kampala because we understand the fuel prices are really high. We understand the congestion in the city is crazy. Look at this bus. This bus carries 67 passengers in one go. How many taxis are those? Yeah, we are looking at about 8 taxis, right? 67, those are 6 taxis already. Yeah, because it's 14-seater for the taxi. So we are reducing congestion. We are bringing electric transport in the city. That means the fuel costs are going to go down. When you're on this bus, we all know it is too hot. This bus has air conditioning to see that when you're moving in this hot kasana of Kampala, you're gumite in the air conditioning.
I'm already getting the experience of the ACs. Yeah.
Yes. So we provide you AC on the bus. And by the way, when it is cold or when it is raining outside there, we have a heat ventilation system which gives you some warmth as you're on the Kayola bus. The comfort is remarkable. You're on your seat alone, Teddy Kwenyiga, right? And we are trying to see that we stop the hassles of conductor balance. You're paying your 2,000 shillings using Momo Pay, using Airtel Money, and while on the bus, guess what? MTN is providing Wi-Fi. Imagine.
Some of the pointers she mentioned that this is meant to they are keeping it modern. So this is about modernity. So cashless is about modernity. But she goes on to say it's an electric bus one and cashless payment system, keeping it simple. They are going cashless to keep it simple using Momo Pay or Airtel Money. No conductor balance, conductor balance one, conductor balance. No, that's off. They are keeping it modern. One, by using electric buses. Two, by using cashless payment system. But we've always talked about the agenda of cashless and this very end. I'll recap that for some that are, haven't been with that so long. Anyway, she goes on to talk about the advantages. She talks about it being cheap. It's only 2K. And she talks about it, in view of the high fuel prices, that this could be a good way out, opt for the buses instead of driving. And then the crazy city traffic congestion, the buses are here to solve that. They have AC, given the sun and the heat in Kampala at times, and they also have heat ventilation systems where if it's cold outside, uh, the bus has heating, ventilation, and then there's free Wi-Fi. So she mentions all these advantages of these buses. But one of the things that catches or should catch your attention is that this is a running of a cashless payment system. No cash is required. But what is the end goal of that? That's where for me, usually when these agendas come through, they come from abroad, then they're effected down here. I don't know whether some of our leaders are aware of the end goal or they have simply sold out. But this is the end goal of this cashless agenda. I'll start it from the UN. One, you have to know that this cashless agenda is part of the UN Agenda 2030, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. At the core of that, there are so many goals that they have set out in order to ensure that they achieve this Agenda 2030. But one of those goals is going cashless, going digital, going digital money. How do they plan to do that? We are going to find out. But one of those, let us hear from this lady, because I usually want to first show you that these are global agendas. They are not local moves. It's not people in boardrooms here who sat and thought, it's good. Let us use, cashless in order to protect the conductors, the buses, to make it seamless. No, they didn't think about these things from here. These things have come from way above Uganda. And here we are only implementing that which has been handed down to us. How do I know that? Listen to this lady. She's called Ruth Godwin. She was the founding managing director of the Better Than Cash Alliance. Better Than Cash Alliance is one of the UN agencies. And she was the managing director from 2012 to 2023. So I'll pause here so that you hear her or her views on what she thinks about cash and the end goal of cash. And then perhaps mainly as she speaks, she's not speaking on her own. Those are the thoughts of UN and other UN agencies, their goals.
We have to achieve the SDGs in 10 years. I'm going to talk about that, but with a quick introduction to the Better Than Cash Alliance. We're hosted by the United Nations, and we are an alliance of governments and companies and international organizations that are each committed, each has to commit before they join the alliance to moving away from cash to some form of digital option. We've got to solve this problem. And we have to solve it because we care about achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Did you know that every single government in the world has committed to these? Every single government to agree to these. The government of Norway, the government of Australia, the government of Ethiopia, the government of Rwanda. And the timeline is 10 years from now.
A few things to pick out here from what she said. Government, one, we have to know that this is an alliance of governments and companies. Going cashless or doing away with cash is an alliance of governments and companies. So it's not a KCCA thought process or a Killer Motors thought process that they thought and sat and thought, let us go cashless. No, it's not. And then thought, and also it involves international organizations that each have committed, before they join the alliance to move away from cash to some form of digital option. They have committed. Companies, governments, international organizations, they have committed to move away from cash. And and then she goes on to say, we have got to solve this problem. What problem? The problem of cash. We have to solve it because we care about achieving the sustainable development goals. I told you that going cashless is part of the UN 17 sustainable development goals, Agenda 2030. But why are they waging a war on cash? What is it about cash that they don't want? We shall get into that. And there she also mentions all countries that are involved, and we shall tackle also some of the companies that are involved. Okay, already I've visited, when you mention international agencies being involved, we shall see also some of those. But then you may wonder, so in Uganda, is this the first step that we've taken to go cashless? No, it's not. Uganda were also making moves towards going cashless. Why? Because as the founding managing director of the Better Than Cash Alliance stated, that the countries that are signatory to that UN agency have committed to do away with cash to adopt a certain form of digital money. And Uganda hasn't been spared. Uganda has been part of that. So this, I captured this. This was in April 2025 last year, and this was an article I picked up online that, to be specific, the NTV website. This is how they reported about this. The central bank has announced a shift from physical currency to digital money to reduce the cost associated with printing. Now, for us in Uganda, we are saying that we are moving away from cash to adopt digital money because of the cost associated with printing and maintaining cash. In Europe, they told them money laundering. So it's different wrappings, different branding, different messaging, but the end goal is one, it's the same, going cashless. And we continue. According to the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Uganda, Augustus Nwagaba, millions of notes are destroyed daily due to poor handling in circulation. Nwagaba was speaking to accountants gathered in Entebbe attending the third annual Public Finance Management Conference, which focused on how technology can help curb corruption in the public finance. So you see that at the very top of Uganda's institution, that's the Bank of Uganda, they are talking about going cashless. This was the NTV tweet that talked about a central bank has announced a shift from physical currency to digital money to reduce the cost associated with printing. He said that Ugandans will handle money badly. We handle money like it's rubbish, and therefore the paper, the cash wears out so fast, and maintaining it is becoming way too expensive. Therefore, it's easier for us to go fully cashless, fully digital money. And if you're wondering digital money, what do they mean digital money? Digital money is the way you see mobile money or all any other Visa cards. It's money, but in digital form. You can go buy your chicken, buy your shirt, your shoes by sending someone mobile money. You have deposits you can send. If you have depending on the deposit you have, you can send to various people. Okay, that's what they mean digital money. So has this been only pushed by the government? No. Even the private sector, like the lady told us, the managing director of the Better Than Cash Alliance said, this involves governments, companies, and international agencies. Now, in Uganda, we've also had some corporate companies pushing this cashless agenda, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Here is just one that I picked: over 18,000 smallholder farmers to benefit as your UDB Bank, Uganda Development Bank, launches digital financing solution for smallholder farmers. No cash, digital financing solution. Okay, and then there's this article: how blockchain is turning around farmers' fortunes. So you see that also the private sector is playing its part in pushing this cashless agenda. It's not only governments. And now we are talking about KCCA also coming on board to introduce this pass system. And guess what? It's cashless. And most of us will say, yeah, safety, the conductors will be in trouble. You see what? Now it's for their safety, it's for the we want to ensure a seamless system. No, and that's the wrapping, that's the messaging, that's how they are selling it to you, they are selling it to us. But the end goal is to ensure that everyone is enrolled onto these digital platforms, one way or another, step by step, process by process. And at the end of the day, they will get rid of cash. When everyone is onto those digital platforms, guess the amount of surveillance that will be taking place there. If you say something bad online that the authorities are not happy with, they can just lock out your account. If you say something that they don't like, then they can lock you out. If you traveled beyond where you're supposed to travel, if you if you use more fossil fuels than you are permitted to use, than they would want you to use, then they can close out your account. They can even program your account to buy certain goods and not access others because you are not essential. You remember essential people and some that were not non-essential. Anyway, let me we'll talk about that further into this discussion. Then out there also corporate companies have jumped onto this cashless craze. There's a Starbucks that declared that was going, cashless. I think this was in October 2024. Then there's this that I saw about McDonald's cashless decision sparks backlash from Aussie customers in Australia. McDonald's was trying to go cashless. I don't know if they went through that. Then there's this Taco Bell. Thoughts Taco Bell may move to electronic payments only. And that's not it. There's this Malawi Airlines. We are transitioning to cashless ticketing. And then there was this bank. Your routine, your routine made cashless. We've seen all this cashless talk going around. But I think is we've also associated cashless with convenience. That wherever you are, you can purchase, you can transact, and that means that time there's a time saving element to it given the speed of online and digital payments or transactions. But the end goal, that's the selling point. And do they have an advantage? Yes, they have an advantage. Do they ease life? Yes, to a degree they ease life. If you're here and someone has an emergency, you just wire them mobile money or transfer money to their account, and perhaps the problem is sorted, right? It's that quick. You don't have to jump on a border, withdraw cash, or take it to them. No, it's that seamless. But the devil in this is that while they are pushing digital platforms, there is a consistent and forceful demonization of cash. That cash should go away and you only have one option. And for me, the devil is always in that detail when they want to push only one option and the other options are frozen out or they are kicked out. Cash or digital, they should coexist as transaction platforms. Use cash if you want. If you don't want to use cash, you go digital, depending on your preference. But the moment they say no cash, and that is the end goal. Right now, cash and cashless are still playing the same field, but the end goal is to eliminate cash completely, so that we are all in this digital platform where they can easily surveil us. Why? Because they say cash is opaque. People can, there's money laundering. People can commit all manner of crimes. You see that there are crimes. People move cash. People cash because it's opaque. We can't monitor what people are doing. We can't even monitor the strength or the state of the economy because we can't exactly tell people's purchasing power. We can't tell. So we need to monitor as if they want to plan for you, as if they want to protect you against some criminals out there. No, it's the criminals who are actually pushing this cashless agenda so that they can monitor you and control you to the T. Again, I'll show you that later. But usually, when we talk about cashless transactions, the first trigger, or one of the things that they give us, is that one of the things that we think about is the cost of transaction, and especially in Uganda, where there's been a bit of debate about the taxes on withdrawal charges, the taxes on cashless transactions, that which taxes also impact on the charges that the final customer has to bear. So the discussions are usually around the charges, the cost of these digital transactions, and that's why we have been limited. I'll take an example of this article. This was in Daily Monitor, where they said, "Is mobile money tax a fair game?" Did Did you know that the cost of mobile money transaction in Uganda is multiple times more than the ATM machine? Again, we are discussing what charges. We discuss charges. We discuss the taxes on these cashless transactions, and that's why we have limited our discussion. When our discussion sort of extends a bit, we discuss cybersecurity. But the overall issue, bad as those issues are, or genuine as they are, the main issue is the control system that is being rolled out with these digital payment systems. That the day we wake up and all cash has been phased out, or they have put a cap on on the cash we can spend. They say per month, a non-essential worker should not spend above cash in cash. You should not spend above 500K. If they put that cap there, that's when we shall wake up and see the amount of control that is before us. And even worse than that, the day will come where they'll say no more cash. I'll show you that. And the advert they put out in 2018. But how do they plan to do this? So these digital systems are not the end of. Why right now we are being pushed into, all humanity is being pushed into the digital systems. All of us, let's get into the digital systems. The end goal is the introduction of the central bank digital currency. Now, the central bank digital currency, this will be issued by the central banks. The current digital systems or infrastructure we have has private sector players like the mobile monies of this world. You have the various mobile networks operating, various fintechs in that space, the Visas, the MasterCards. You may talk about the mobile wallets that we have. Those are all, that's all part of the digital finance infrastructure, which has various, players, private players mainly. But the governments are also going to get into this space by introducing the central bank digital currencies. Now, central bank digital currencies, these will be issued by the governments, and therefore centrally surveilled. How? Now, what that will mean, the end game of that will mean that they will collapse all these other digital platforms that we have, so that we have only one digital platform, that's the central bank digital digital currency. Now, with that central bank digital currency, the major evil about it is that it will be programmable. When I say programmable, I mean the ability of people to program your account, that they can program your account I've always given this example. They program certain ATMs that with this ATM, if per withdrawal, you can only withdraw 1M. Per day, you can only withdraw 2 million. So that means your ATM has been, or your account has been programmed like that, that on an ATM, you can only withdraw 1M per withdrawal and only 2M per day. If you need more money than that, you have to go over the counter or use online platforms. But here is the thing that with the central bank cryptocurrencies, that will be the same issue. That they'll be able to program our accounts, program your money to say that, you are non-essential worker, this money of yours, which you have online, which you worked for, can only purchase these goods in these quantities, and it cannot purchase these other goods, and it cannot purchase outside this, or it cannot be operation outside of this jurisdiction. Who will be deciding that? That it will be forces seated way above Uganda, bureaucrats seated way above Uganda. They're the ones who will be determining for us how to use our money. Because of what again? Because say we are fighting climate change. Therefore, because we are fighting climate change and we are telling people not to get off the use of fossil fuels. So if you are telling people to stop using a lot of petrol, stop it. So we can program your account to the degree that you can only buy 10 liters of fuel per month, unless you are an essential worker. Therefore, for you may have access to about 20, 30 liters because you are essential. But the non-essential, we can even say, like previously I talked about livestock emissions, how they are coming for the cows. What if they program your money and say that, no, if you are buying fresh beef, you can only buy 1 kilo a month because we are fighting climate change. We cannot again be supporting this industry of beef. People again are rearing more of these cows. We have to discourage people from taking more of this beef so that the people who are keeping these animals can give up that farming. They can perhaps go into other things that we want them to go to. You see how controlling it's going to be with the central bank cryptocurrency. And by the time they roll out this digital bank cryptocurrency, just know that cash will be on its way out. Now, without cash and with that amount of control, how much freedom do you think you'll be left with? You say something bad on social media. No, I disagree with this. You don't have to abuse someone. You just have to disagree with a certain narrative. No, I think that we have handled pandemic X. I think no. I think we should leave a leeway for people to decide which medicines that get into their bodies. They can just go onto your account and say no. And what you said was bad, therefore, you can't access money or you can't pay for your electricity, for your yaka, you can't pay for your water for this man. They can punish you like that. If they say there is a curfew because of this, and for you say, no, the curfew has so many disadvantages, who are you to say curfews are bad? Who are you to say lockdowns are bad? And the punishment will be simple. They won't be sending LDUs to your house. They'll just be operating backdoor and affecting you with your money. They just lock you out of your money and then you go to transact and you can't transact. Why? Because you said something bad on social media. That is called the social credit system that they want to roll out. But to roll it out effectively, they need all of us on these digital platforms where they can surveil and control us. But then to surveil and control us properly, all these decentralized digital platforms will be collapsed into one. That's the central bank digital currency, which will be under their grip. So the end goal of all this cashless talk is the introduction of the central bank cryptocurrency. Right now we are in the baby class, steps, trying to get everybody used to digital, till that day comes where they push us into one channel. By the time they are pushing us into one channel, I mean, we shall agree. You see transaction, charges are less, there's no withdrawal. Perhaps, of course, because that the central bank cryptocurrencies will be operated and managed by governments, which may not be profit-minded like private players, you would assume that the charges on the transactions will be less. Therefore, that could be a major catch for so many people. Man, when I transact with these other private players, to send, say, 1 million to someone or 500 to someone, the charges are so high. But when I'm operating on using my central bank digital currency, the charges are I almost don't notice them. So we shift from the private players to the central bank digital currencies because of charges. And we are shifting from one prison into perhaps from the prison to maximum prison now. And that's the end goal. The end goal is control. Control, control. This money will be programmable. They program your money. Therefore, it ceases to be your money. It becomes potential money. But how do they sell these agendas? Of course, like we saw in case of our buses here, we are selling convenience, AC, your safety. We are selling all manner of things. But that selling is what I love this cartoon here that talked about. This was about control of the internet. So someone comes with an idea, they want to control the internet, and the other person asks them, "So how do you like this wrapped? Do you wrap it as we are protecting kids, or we wrap it like anti-terrorism?" Those are the excuses they use to usher in a control system. So now they're using all manner of excuses to usher in a cashless control system. In Europe, they talked about money laundering. Here, our deputy governor talked about the cost of printing money is too high and maintaining cash is too high because we are careless in the way we handle money. So various excuses or various wrappings, but the end goal is the same. And so when I saw that this transport system, this bus system that they brought here is also cashless, I just knew this is a step. It's a step. And we are going to be hearing more of these cashless things. Oh, this one also cashless. Oh, that one is also cashless. And the discussion will be one. We shall be discussing charges. But the charges are high. The charges are high. That's what we are going to be discussing. And perhaps too, we shall be discussing cybersecurity because they have given us a talking point that if you are to critique this move, you critique it up to this extent. But no one or few people have been able to see actually the very extent of this evil agenda that is being rolled out under usually the guise of convenience. Let us see. This was an advert also that was put out about Sweden. They had predicted that Sweden could stop using cash by 2023. This was posted in 2018 by guess who? The World Economic Forum, which is always at the center of such agendas. And yeah, they talked about some of the advantages, reducing theft. You see, speeding up payments. We talked about these things. And they also stop hoarding of cash. Stop hoarding of cash. You've heard about true or untrue. I don't know that there are people who keep money in sacks, in mattresses. Yes, those are the people they are coming for. That with this cashless, that will stop. I mean, with the cashless economy, how are you going to keep cash, digital money in your mattresses or at home? So there won't be any hoarding of cash like it is today. So anyway, and here in this video, they talked about if you are planning to get a bus using cash, forget it. If you're planning, this is a 2018 video. They talked about if you're planning to get a bus using cash, forget it. What have we just launched in Uganda? Buses that don't accept cash or that are using cashless payments. When was this in Sweden? 2018. So almost 8 years later, it has gotten here, and we think it's an original idea. It has come from us. No, it hasn't come from us. And then this was banned years ago over driver safety concerns. Now to ban cashless or to ban cash on buses, here the wrapping, the way they wrapped their message was for driver safety concerns. Anyway, and they say the video goes on to say 3 in 10 are not happy about the cashless due to cybersecurity. Those are the parameters within which we discuss these cashless things, cybersecurity, charges. You see, but genuine as a concern, genuine a concern as that is, the biggest concern is control, a control system, a digital control grid that is being rolled out in real time, and people are hopping onto it unknowingly. safety, convenience, and all the other things that they are using to sell it. And then when they go on to ask a question at the end of the video, could you give up cash forever? That's not a question, that's a statement of intent. That's what they want to do. Could you give up cash for? They want you to give up cash forever. So that forever, you get onto this digital platform, and from all the digital platforms, you get onto the central bank digital currency when all these platforms are collapsed. And there, they'll have maximum control. That's the end goal. Programmable money they can program from wherever they are seated, whichever city they are at, and they say, you Kagwa, what did you say? You Sentamu, what did you say? You okay, what did you do? How could you do this? And they just close you out of your account. Again, has this happened? And have we seen such experiments? Anyway, yes, we saw the Canadian truckers in 2022 who were rioting against forced vaccinations of COVID. When they rioted, some of the people that were in support, financially in support of the truckers' demonstrations, their accounts were frozen. We saw that in Canada. They were frozen out. Now you imagine those are individual banks, perhaps individual banks working in tandem with the government, and they close people's accounts. Now imagine where the government has the switch. Do you think it will take a riot? No, it will take disagreement on social media, and then they will close you out. But again, like I usually do, I usually love to leave you with a snippet, a video that captures the essence of the subject matter that I talk about. And today won't be any different. I want to leave you with this journalist Alex Newman discussing the end goal of this cashless agenda, the digital prison. He calls it at times the digital gulag concentration camp that is being constructed as we speak for one sole reason: control, control, and more control. So the moment I saw this, I saw the Shira buses launched. I'm like, okay, traffic will be eased. That will be very nice. But then I saw cashless. I saw the agenda immediately. That's the agenda, cashless. It's being rolled out in our midst. So now, and you can imagine that before we used to talk about this cashless thing, when you think, those are corporate things, no, the Mutua once uses what? They still use their cash, But now the agenda is slowly getting down to the Mutua once. We saw the article about smallholder farmers also being enrolled into this digital platform to transform their lives. It's for financial inclusion, to bring everyone into the financial system so that they can benefit from all these so many advantages of being in this financial system, like access to credit. That's the language you use to incorporate people, to persuade people, so that they may come into this digital prison that's being constructed. Because the end goal, they are going to get rid of cash. There is an ongoing war on cash to phase it out so that we are all using digital. It's not only in UN, it's not only in the World Economic Forum, it has touched down. You saw what our deputy governor said, and you've seen what KCCA has just done with the buses. They are cashless. Listen to Alex Newman. That's it for today, but let's keep vigilant. Good day.
Talk to me about the 50 and 5 plan.
So the UN has partnered with Bill Gates on this, what they call digital public infrastructure. It's a very fancy term. And I think the simplest way to understand it is they're building a giant digital gulag for all of humanity. So the UN Development Program has officially launched this. It was officially launched at the end of last year, where they're going to get 50 governments, they call them countries, but really they mean governments, to impose at least some major element of this digital public infrastructure on their population within 5 years. So 2028.
Passports.
Digital IDs, and those are already emerging. In fact, many states are developing these. I just went through the airport yesterday. You can scan your digital ID QR code, right? So that's happening.
And that's really one of the main reasons for the COVID
Absolutely.
Nonsense.
The architecture that was laid down
right.
is the backbone of this global control grid that they're building. So then you've got the central bank digital currencies, which are already being unveiled. Right? They've already been released. The World Economic Forum just said a few days ago, 98% of the governments and central banks in the world are working on these CBDCs. Once they're fully operational, I guarantee you, they're going to start waging war on cash much more openly. They'll say it's a tool for terrorists and pimps and every nasty thing, tax cheats, everything you can think of. Then you've got the payment processing systems, and you've also got, we just had the head of the World Health Organization talk about this recently, the digital health certificates, the digital vaccine passports. They're taking what the EU developed during the COVID, which, by the way, the European Commission was promoting vaccine passports in May of 2019, long before anybody ever heard of COVID or anything like that. So they're taking all of this together, and they are using it to build a control system that will not just be able to surveil and monitor everything you do on an unprecedented scale. When you combine it with AI, the ability to make sense of all this data, it's just mind-blowing. But also to manipulate what you do. And so they're talking about this, again, pretty openly. If you look at the World Economic Forum meetings, they talk about the benefits of programmable central bank digital currency, where they will be able to say who can buy what, when, under what conditions. And then the Bank for International Settlements, Carol Quigley, to go back to him for a moment, Bill Clinton's mentor, the guy who really exposed this global agenda to create a one world system, he said the apex of the system was going to be the Bank for International Settlements. This is an institution that's almost entirely unknown to Americans. And what they are working on right now, and this is not a secret, it's not a conspiracy because it's not happening behind closed doors, is what they call a universal blockchain ledger. They want to tokenize every asset in the known universe, every farm, every car, every house, every tree, put it on this ledger, this blockchain ledger, and then you're only able to interact with this blockchain ledger using your biometric digital ID, using your central bank digital currencies. And so if I want to buy something from you, I can't just hand you a $100 bill. I've got to go on my device, connect to this blockchain system, transfer the central bank digital currencies to you. And so this is a mechanism for controlling humanity that I think is really unprecedented in human history. And when you take it all together, it's very obvious.